actually, these are pretty big words, NASA, Google, Silicon Valley, and disruptive minds. Although my story is extremely humane, because my story started with a huge failure, and I'll show you how it went to Quantified Self, or how it could be relevant to Quantified Self, because if I understand this is still Quantified Self. Meetup, fantastic. Okay, so I was a very successful real estate developer, tossing the money around, hunting the square meters, falling for bigger, smaller projects, but always doing great for the last decade and a half. And then came 2008, a fabulous year when things crashed. And then I said, well, no problem, this is just another ripple, nothing is going to change, I'm gonna restructure my portfolio. And then, so a 3-year struggle started, and 2011 came when I just had to give up. And I had to look around, what the hell is going on? And then I found that, in fact, the underlying story of my failure is not my failure, but the industry's failure, how the money sector just went down in a blink of an eye. And I came to a conclusion that this is technology, and the technology was overriding everything and enabling failures or successes, because at the same time there were tremendous successes, and so bizarre, just as bizarre as my failure. And that's when I went to SU, Singularity University, which is a very new creature. It was founded in 2008 by Google, NASA, and some great companies, but more importantly with individuals like Ray Kurzweil and Peter Diamandis and the like, and Larry Page himself, saying that, in fact, when such a technology acceleration, that is, the development is in hand and is off the shelf, it's accessible, why don't we establish a university which is about that, disruptive technologies employed for the greater good, for the many. And how does it connect to Quantified Self? It is connecting extremely well, because Quantified Self is nothing but an old story which is coming accessible and comes extremely cheap, and in fact it's going to disrupt every one of your lives. If anybody is in the Quantified Self business in any way in this room, here is not, no one, maybe a half. And I know that Prezi, our next speaker, is deeply, deeply connected. So why I'm so convinced that you are going to be part of it, big time? Because disruptive technology doesn't arrive at a blink of an eye, as I experienced. It is accumulating, it is starting with really distant developments. And in fact, Quantified Self, if you know the term, of course you're measuring your body with all sorts of gadgets, Fitbit, later on with smartwatch, name it, and so on and so forth. However, this technology was used first by space astronauts, and then they were measured obviously every life function possible. Then came to the car race or even sports. So in fact, the idea of measuring is at least 50 years old, if not older. But what happened when people, disruptive minds, looked at it and said, can we do something different with it? And this is why I want to mention it, different disruptive minds, because this is, I think, a company where we are right now, and then I sincerely hope that you guys are also disruptive minds changing the future. Astro Teller, does it say anything to anyone here? Do you know Astro Teller? Who knows Astro Teller? Okay, nobody. Wow. Astro Teller is Edmund Teller's grandson, Teller of the Nobel Prize winner. And Teller, a Hungarian origin, Edmund Teller was born in Hungary, and his son, Astro Teller, today is the leader of Google Laboratory X. That's where crazy ideas, such as, you know very well, the Google Glass, or the self-driving car, or the Google Loon, has been, well, not invented, but put into action. And Astro Teller was a man, 2004, and he surprised his audience, saying, like, guys, something big is coming. It's a wave, actually he used the same term, wave, is coming, which is going to disrupt everything. But he said, I'm not a doctor, I don't know what your pulse means, I don't know what your body measurement means, but I do know that it's crazy that when you sit in your car, you turn the key and then you know everything about your car. The brakes are functioning, the water is right temperature, in fact, you know it all the time. So it's not a quantified, well, it's a quantified car moment, right? And you would feel very, very strange if the pilot of the plane or the bus driver wouldn't know anything all the time, real time, about the instrument you are sitting in. So how weird is that you don't know about your body, but maybe once a year, if you go at all, to the doctor, right? So he said, since the technology is there, we can apply it onto our body, therefore we can have a continuous measurement, apply big data, generate big data, and apply algorithms, and then actually you are quantifying yourself, be it your steps, your heart, whatever. With smart algorithms, we can predict, and we can extrapolate, and we can understand what is going on. Because that is two-thirds of the healthcare problems, which is a gigantic industry, and then Prezi will tell you more about it, is living on the mistakes what we are doing or making on a daily basis. So imagine if the car industry would say, no sensors in the car, no measurement of the temperature, no checking of the brakes, because car makers, which are producing the parts, cemeteries, doctors are interested in getting the dead bodies, the damaged people, the damaged cars, because this is all good. So this is how today healthcare works. This is not healthcare, but it is sick care. You go to the doctor when you're sick, and that is a gigantic multi-trillion-dollar business. Now what Quantified itself will do, disrupt this business, disrupt those doctors' business who are living on, okay, come to me when you are sick, but I will leave it up to Prezi, because he'll just unfold this notion. I mean what I'm talking about, and give you some really cool examples. So let me show you a historic moment when Astro Teller said and surprised his audience. I'm just going to cut in the very moment of 2004, and it's just a minute when he said, look, I am going to quantify myself in a way.
We've done exactly the same thing with getting information about the human body. There was no way that we were going to be smarter than the last 100 years of human physiology experts and biomedical experts. But what if we said we didn't care how the human body worked? What if we said that we were going to study the data, we were going to model the data, instead of modeling the system? And it turns out, 5 years later, after we started the company, that it works. It works better than we could have hoped for. And in fact, the people who you might think would be our biggest critics, the human physiology experts, are actually now some of our biggest proponents, writing papers and publishing them, because they're the people who are most desperate to have some quantitative tools to study you people, all of us, out in the real world. So they're actually very excited about this. So I promised you an example. My company actually makes a number of different things, but this is an example of what it looks like. This has a computer, a processor, memory, sensors, and it's just watching my body many times a second and making or using statistical algorithms that have been built out of a lot of this data. So imagine that Zacharias Janssen in 1595 runs out of his house with the world's first compound.
Okay, so you probably got the point, right? This is 2004. He started his company 1999. And with the understanding that the technology is there, he can put it onto his arm because it has shrunk. And now he's going to disrupt the world because this data can change your mindset, what you're doing, how you're doing. Therefore, you don't end up with a doctor, 5 or 10 years later. Now, why is it important for me? Because when I went to SU, that's the place where I understood that technology and the acceleration comes, it hits your head. And in fact, what you see right now, that kind of big tsunami wave regarding quantified self is just about to come this year. When, well, actually Samsung already announced the smartwatch, Apple is coming, and then who knows what. And I guarantee that within a year there will be like at least 15 to 20 smartwatches better than the first one, generating tremendous amount of data. And what is coming after, that all those sensors will not be on your wrist, but it will be on your belt, wove in this shirt. Everything will be connected. I don't have to explain you Internet of Things. So your quantified self, all of you all of you will be having a very hard time not to quantify yourself. And in fact, you will want to quantify yourself because you will understand how you function and how you are not going to end up at the doctor. And this is what's going to change all of your life, either because you are subject to it or because you are working on it, because that is going to open up a tremendous amount of possibilities. And I will leave that for Prezi later on, because he'll show you some of those possibilities, may be interesting for you. Thank you.
Any questions?
Hey, I just have one question, that if you are not afraid of the privacy of yourself, like putting all the data of the health to Google, or I don't know, would it be a problem in the future, do you think, or?
Do you have a Facebook or a Google account?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Then you answered my
Yeah, but I
question.
don't put so many information about me, like my body temperature or all this.
Why is it more private than where are you going, where are you right now, or where are you going to be, or who you love, who you hate?
Just asking if it doesn't have some kind of...
No, exactly. I mean, that's actually, that could be the topic of a huge other meetup, because privacy does not exist in the internet and in the age of internet. I mean, literally does not exist. All of us are using applications, freemium models. We trade our privacy for benefit. We are actually living, I mean, we are in a company which says, give us some of your data and you can use my service for free, right? And this is fair. We say, fair enough. So this will be happening for our health data. There will be applications on your phone saying like, you know what, this is for free, but give me your data. Your body temperature, your blood, I mean your blood, heart rate, and so on and so forth. So yes, indeed, we will trade that kind of matter. How it is going to unfold? I think since Facebook, I have I have an expectation that we will give it for free. In return, what we can learn from that. I think.
Thanks for the answer.
It's good or bad? That's
the question, that if it could be used for the negative.
Give me a bottle of wine and then we discuss.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Similar question. I'm interested in abusing this data. So, what if someone hacks my heart rate monitor and checks the data, and can she or he abuse it? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's a threat?
It is possible, and it is a threat, obviously. And the same thing with your credit card. The credit card can be hacked as well. Anything digital can be hacked. But this issue is already out there because the developed pacemakers are working as such that you walk into the doctor, you don't even take off your coat, and they upgrade the software in the pacemaker. And the only reason you need to go in so that the proximity is such so that they can't really hack it. In fact, pacemakers can be hacked also. So it's not the kind of wrist and the watch will be hacked. Everything is hackable. And yes, it is a threat, and yet it is going to be an issue. And then, just as, again, I always bring up actually answer to that question, that since when are we using fire, and when did we invent the fire department? So anything with technology comes, it's a double-edged sword. So first comes the threat. I have no illusions we will hurt ourselves first, and then say, oh shit, and then we're gonna fix it, and then we're gonna take care more of it. So yeah.
Basically similar, my question. You're quite up to date with your answers, so you do have a reaction to all of our questions. But obviously, it's quite scary to hear this kind of stuff. How a professional is the background who deals with these questions? Do you know how important this part is, and how important for a human mind it is to feel safe and not get absolutely freaked out?
Yeah, actually, it's. I will answer with another example, that cars were around driving crazy speeds and the highway code was not invented yet. So enough people died first. I would say enough important people, so to say, rich people died, and they say, oh shit, we need a highway code. So yes, it is important, but as I see, there will be a broad experiment. However, in the age of internet, the exchange of information, this iteration of, oh shit, let's do something, the amplitude will be, I believe, smaller and faster. That is, this question, since you're asking, and the smartwatch is barely out, right? And I'm talking about it. So it means that I think preparation will be done accordingly, and because protection is a business, it's going to be a business for you and for everyone. Therefore, I believe that this industry will be much faster than before. Therefore, it is not going to be equivalent to the highway code and the car story, because we will be more prepared.
Hi. My question is, I know quite some elderly people or middle-aged people who really take very good care about themselves, and they never go to the doctors because they just know the techniques how you can stay healthy. And I just find your approach very offensive, kind of imposing that we are all stone-aged people, and without data and measuring ourselves, we can just, end up in the hospital and basically die at the end. So, don't you think that there is a way how you can, keep your privacy and also just very simply collecting data from outside sources, can use your own techniques to live a healthy life?
Well, actually, those elderly people who are alive, and then we are very, well, I'm very happy that they're around and they should be proud of that. Those are the rare examples. That is actually, when people say that I have a grandmother, she's smoking since 80 years, well, that's the only grandmother around who is still smoking and 90 years old. So unfortunately, health data shows that those healthy and health conscious people are the rare examples of going after their health and then studying what they do. But wouldn't it be easier for the masses if a machine would give a instantaneous feedback saying like, hey, this is actually dangerous, or don't do this, or don't do that. I believe that this technology is enhancing the possibility that we are going to live longer. And in fact, the question is here that the average age, you may say, now it's 80, it's good enough. Well, I would say that when you are 80, you say, I would like to live around for another 20. So this technology is going to extend the life because we are living consciously from early on.
I think, last question, sorry. Aren't you afraid of the fact that maybe there are many things we don't even know about, that we're maybe ill and we just pass through it because our minds, we don't care about it because other things are more important? But right now you will give us data about everything, and maybe that will be actually the fact that makes us more ill. It's a little philosophical.
I encountered that doctors don't like to see sometimes the information about your genome, because they say like, well, that kind of might affect your thinking, so you shouldn't look at it that you have a high chance to get, let's say, heart attack, so you're gonna get a heart attack. This is what probably you're saying. Okay, let me take you back to the highway code. When you go on the highway with a decent speed and says, when it is raining, it is slippery, right? So I think, yes, we have to change our mindset, but this data is coming early on, so it's not saying like, now you have a heart attack, or a large chance for a heart attack. It's saying like, hey, you've been having a lot of stress, or actually, I don't know who's tracking the sleeping. Anybody tracks your sleeping? The smartphone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here. Okay. So actually, what it says that it goes with waves, and then you place the smartphone, and it's kind of checking your movement, and has with an algorithm tells, well, you didn't have a good sleep now. If you look it back, I don't think I will sleep. I will have a worse sleep because I looked it back. I say like, oh, what was I doing that day or before going to sleep? So I think, since we are very conscious beings, I think we will learn from these. Yes, we have to change our mindset, but I think this will be a tool for us to kind of ameliorate or make better our life. This is what I believe. But Prezi will give you some really cool, and I'm going to pass it on to him because he'll just entertain you with amazing stuff he wrote.